Grab your coffee, mama. It's time for coffee, clients, and nap time. I'm Sarah Marie, and this is your guide to building a business that works for you and your family. Here, we'll dive into creating a thriving business that lets you be the hands-on parent you want while designing the life you've always dreamed of. So if you're ready to balance business success with family life and make it all work in a way that feels right for you, then let's dive in. Hey mamas, welcome back to Coffee, Clients and Nap Time. Today's Naptime Chat is one I think so many women, and especially mums in business, are going to resonate with. Because somewhere along the way, we were sold the idea that we have to choose. Choose between motherhood and ambition. Choose between being present with our children and building something meaningful. Choose between being a mum or being ourselves. But the reality is most women aren't choosing one role. We are holding many: mother, business owner, partner, employee, creator, leader. And the real challenge isn't trying to balance those identities perfectly. It's learning how to integrate them in a way that actually works for your life. So today I'm joined by Tash Leam, author, speaker, podcaster, and human design reader. We talk about identity shifts in motherhood, the pressure women feel to lose themselves in caregiving, building a business alongside work and parenting, and how understanding your energy and trusting yourself can completely change how you approach both business and life. It's a really honest conversation about what it actually looks like to be a whole person while raising children, and why holding on to that matters more than we're often told. So if you're ready, let's dive in. Hi Tash, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
I am very excited to hear about your journey, not just in motherhood, but also in business and how you started your business and where you've come from and what that's looked like for you. Do you want to share a bit about that with me?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll take you back to the start. And about 9 years ago, I picked up my very first self-help book and I became absolutely obsessed with the literature. And I ended up reading about 50 books in a space of a year because I just wanted to know more and more. And one of the things I noticed was majority of the books were written by people that had already reached their pinnacle of success. And I didn't have 5 hours to have this miracle morning routine and I didn't want to get up at 4 a.m. And so I thought, I want to write a book that I would have really loved being a beginner in the personal development space. So I wrote a book called From Human Doing to Human Being. And that was just to help other people that wanted to make changes in their life, but also wanted to not feel like they were failing because they didn't have the same resources that other authors had. And that's how that part of me came to be. And then I wrote my second book, When Life Gives You Lessons, and that has some guidance on what to do to hopefully stop repeating the life lessons that pop up for us. And you keep going, what am I doing? What do I need to learn from this so it can just leave me be? I wrote that and published it a few weeks before our first son was born. And then while I was on maternity leave, I really wanted to make sure I wasn't losing myself in the process of becoming a mum. I wanted to enter it quite intentionally. And the thought of losing my sense of self just angered me because I've spent so many years trying to figure out who I am and I wanted to keep that. And so I studied to become a certified human design reader. And so now I'm an author, podcaster, guest speaker, and human design reader. So a few things going on, but I absolutely love it.
I always find it's quite interesting to hear how people come into their business for a start and then how motherhood really shapes what their business becomes and what that looks like. I know you talk a little bit about, identity before motherhood, and you're obviously working with women in a similar space to what you've gone through. So what do you notice in women who don't have a real strong sense of self when they enter motherhood? You said that you really wanted to keep yourself, and that's why you did the human design and, kept evolving your knowledge and your knowledge base. What do you notice, I suppose, in women who don't have that strong sense of self or don't hold on to it?
I think it's easy to become so consumed within the role of being a mum. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Like, I love my son and he filled a space in my heart that I never knew needed to be filled until I met him for the first time outside. And there was just a whole lot of love that just poured out of me and it hasn't left. And they're so incredible, but I just want to lead by example in terms of being a whole person. I'm someone that's quite independent, and I knew that I couldn't be my best self for him if I just became all consumed with taking care of him. I still need to take care of myself and be true to who I am and the goals that I want to achieve. I don't want that to be put on a back burner or go completely. And something that I have observed is it's really hard to become a mum. First of all, like there's so many shifts like hormones and the lack of sleep, and you're just immersed into this whole environment where you're figuring everything out as you go along. And it's just probably one of the steepest learning curves you can go on. And that's hard enough as it is without trying to remember who you are. And so I just really went, I want to not lose my sense of self. And seeing posts where it seems like it's acceptable for women to lose themselves for up to 5 years after becoming a mum, I thought, as if, why are we normalizing this? And I just don't think that that's okay or cool whatsoever. And I'd really like to see that mums actually get recognized for the mental load and just the weight of the role, whether you're a stay-at-home mum, working mum, there's pressures regardless of how that role looks like for you. And yeah, it breaks my heart that mums are like the invisible caregivers and caretakers. And I just wish that that narrative would change.
It's a very commonplace narrative that we're dealing with as mums. No matter what your status outside of mum is, as you said, stay-at-home mums, working mums, business mums, we're all holding this invisible layer of extra crap, I want to say, that we're the ones that have to deal with. We are the default parent. We've got the invisible mental load going on. And even with the best of partners and support people and fathers in our children's world, there is still that layer that we do hold. How did that change for you when you did become a mum and your business had obviously adapted to the fact that you were a mum and you were holding all these extra layers? What did you find that was like for you?
I have a full-time job outside of my business as well. So while I was on maternity leave, it was quite easy in the sense that I could work while my baby was napping. And then when I returned to work, time just, yeah, I actually found that to be more difficult returning to work and adapting to that new sense of reality than actually becoming a mum. I really struggled, and I felt like I was just constantly mourning the loss of time because I was trying to compare my output to what it was before becoming a mum with now, and kind of not being kind to myself in the sense of, okay, you have so much more on your plate now, but I was still expecting the same amount of output that I was before. And so I just felt like I was constantly letting myself down. And that took a lot to look into in terms of, okay, how can I accept this? Because I can't go back to who I was before I became a mum. That's not possible. And I need to adapt to this new way of living. And I've just accepted that I need to do more with less in the sense of, okay, if I've got 10 minutes, what can I do for my business now? And I'm an organized person by nature, thankfully. So that's a good strength to have right now. But it's just making sure I'm planning in advance and setting clear boundaries. So, for instance, with a human design reading, I wouldn't let someone book an hour beforehand because I need time to prepare and also make sure I've got the space where I can be fully present and facilitate that session for them to the best of my ability. And if I only gave an hour's notice to myself, that's just not going to happen. Whereas before I became a mum, I could probably do that. But it's just having those boundaries in place. And it's not because you don't want to help people if they need it urgently. It's just knowing, okay, for me to give the best support to you that I can and want to be able to, I need to have this in place. So I think it's just being more organized, accepting that I don't have as much time, but still doing what I can with it rather than feeling like a victim and complaining the whole time, even when I do have time. And yeah, and just having those boundaries.
Boundaries are such a pivotal part in balancing the multiple roles that we hold as mothers. I'm curious your thoughts then on if time is less. Sometimes as mothers, we feel like and especially mothers in business or growing side hustle, we can fall into this hustle culture narrative. Like we've got less time, we need to do more, we need to pack more in. What are your thoughts then on not falling into that trap of the hustle culture narrative when we are habit stacking or doing more in the shorter periods that we have as mums?
I think there would be two things I can recommend, and that is going through your social media and maybe having a look at your algorithm and who you follow. Because if you're following other mums or accounts and they're constantly putting out there, here's how productive I am, then you're likely going to start comparing yourself to them, whether you intentionally want to or not. And over time, that's just going to compound, and you're likely going to think, oh, I'm not doing as much as them. I'm failing at X, Y, and Z in my life. And that's not the case at all, because we all have different energy levels, and it's comparing apples to oranges. You may not know if they've got additional support there or additional resources that you may not have access to, and vice versa. So it's not a fair comparison, and it's not going to be helpful for you to be doom scrolling, because you're just going to walk away from that session feeling really low and like you're letting yourself down. And on that as well, your worth is not measured by anything. You are worthy, full stop. It's not about how productive you are. And there will be days where you need to just rest and relax. And it's not always about being on the go and the output. And I think something that's really helped for me, especially with knowing my human design energy type, is hustle culture is not for everyone. And when we try to fit into a box that we don't fit into, such as being on the go constantly, that is the quickest way to wear ourselves out and just drain ourselves of the energy that we do have. So it's paying attention to yourself and trusting that you will get done what you need to in your own time. And if that means potentially changing a deadline or time frame for something, then so be it. Because your mental health, your physical health, just your health overall is more important than a self-imposed timeline. And I know that we don't want to let ourselves down or clients down, but sometimes we just need to be honest with how we're feeling, and pushing through isn't always the answer. And it's just having that awareness and trust to know that you can still do it, even if you need a little bit longer.
You touched on human design in what you just said, and I think this might be a good point for you to maybe explain to those who are curious about human design what actually it is, like just in a really simple, grounded way, because a lot of people think it's just woo-woo or something out there. So I'd love for you to explain that a bit deeper for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that I use human design, I am quite a pragmatic, methodical person. I look at it as being a framework to understand yourself on a deeper level. So essentially, if I use the analogy of us being computers, human design shows you what your original coding is before everyone starts adding in extra lines of ways that they want you to behave and expect you to act and respond to things. So human design goes, okay, this is who you are before the world told you who you should be or programmed you to be. And I look at it then as a framework to go, okay, something's feeling a little bit off. What's out of whack? And I use it to help me course correct. It's not something that I try and use perfectly, because I don't think that that's helpful. It's just then another standard that you're trying to meet. And we already have enough of those. We don't need an extra one there. And when it comes to energy, what human design tells you is there's 5 different energy types. And essentially, some people, they are like hybrid vehicles. If you do what you love, then that fuels you and you can keep going and going. And if you're doing majority of the things that drain you, then you're going to be running on empty. So that's kind of hustle culture. If you're doing the things that you think you should be doing and forcing, you're going to drain your energy. Whereas if you just focus on doing what you love as much as you can, then that will sustain you. And then we have other people that have lower energy to begin with. And that doesn't mean that they can't get things done. It's just their energy works differently. So they are efficient and effective. So they could get done in 2 hours what it could take other people 8 hours to do. So sometimes that may feel good, too good to be true, in the sense that you go, oh, I'm done now. I can relax. And hustle culture goes, yes. And now you have more time to do more things. So then they keep pushing, and that's where they get burnt out. So it's just gives you a framework as to how to best use your energy, and know that it's going to look different to other people, and you don't have to subscribe to hustle culture.
I've never heard it explained in that way, and I really love that analogy because it makes it very clear what it is that it is actually supporting. How then can human design support mums in business without being another thing that they have to remember to do, keep right, another thing on their plate?
So for me, I look at it as the emotional green and red flags. So it tells you when you're doing the things that make you feel really good, and then the things that aren't so great. So for me, my red flag is frustration. So if I'm feeling really frustrated, that is my cue to go, okay, what's going on for me right now? It's my sign to check in with myself and go, okay, what am I trying to force or do too much of? And it helps me come back to the present moment, and gives me a chance to practice some self-compassion and go, okay, why am I trying to do so much today? And why am I feeling this way? And then I kind of look and go, okay, it's because you're trying to do 10 things in an hour, and that's just not feasible. And so I go, okay, what's my number one priority for today? What will make me feel satisfied, which is my emotional green flag. And so I look at getting that done. And then I go, okay, I'm feeling satisfied in this moment. That's fantastic. And I think it's just about honoring that you can't necessarily get done everything that you want to, or you may just wake up one day. And I think we've all had this, whether you're a mum or not, and things just get off on the wrong track, and your day just feels derailed from the get go, and it's not going according to your plan. And it's just having that ability to adapt and pivot, and also accept that the original plan that you had is out the window, and you've just got to go with the flow. Otherwise, if you're trying to force what you originally had planned, it's not going to happen, and you're not going to enjoy it. So it's just managing your own expectations in that moment.
I'm really curious to know how you've actually implemented parts of your human design into how you've designed your business. If you're still working full time and running your business, like how does your human design then feed into how you manage all that on top of parenthood as well?
So I am a manifesting generator. So essentially, I'm the hybrid vehicle. So for me, having my business is my sanity. My 9 to 5 is my paycheck. And sure, I use some skills, but it's not what lights me up. So having my business is actually what sustains my energy and is what I'm passionate about. And without that in my life, I would probably be a different person. So it's knowing that about myself, that I am capable of doing more. And I know that this is absolutely what lights me up. And I will make time for it no matter what, even if it's not as much time as what I would like. So it's just being honest with the space that I can hold for clients. So for me, that's on weekends, because I want to make sure that I'm present with my son before and after work during the week. And so on the weekends, my husband and I, where we can, we split our days into half. So he's a manifesting generator as well. So I know he needs to spend time doing the things that he's doing as well. So we try and give ourselves 4 hour blocks to work on our own thing. And then we've done that. And then we get to come back to our son. And then we're fully present with him for that 4 hour time block that we hang out with him as well. And that seems to work better for us. And of course, everyone's circumstances are different, but it just helps us be present in whatever we're doing, because we're not sitting there with our son or doing what we're enjoying and going, oh, I should be doing this instead, because we go, no, this is our time to do this. And then we move on to that.
I'm really curious to hear more about your balancing a job, your business, parenting. What is it that you would love to say to a mum who feels the pressure to go all in on her business or not do it at all? What's probably the message you'd like to give the mums who are sitting where you are? They've got the side hustle, they've got the business, they've got the ideas and the plans, but reality is they need to continue working their day job for now, potentially forever. Like, what would be the one message you would love to share with that type of mum?
If you've got a dream on your heart, it's there for a reason. And if you think you can't do hard things, one, you either had a cesarean, which is ridiculously hard, or you gave birth naturally. And that is hard, like, especially when you're going through that transitional period in labor and you go, I can't do this. And then all of a sudden, your child's there. Probably not that quickly. We'd all wish that it would be that quickly. But you've gone through that. You have done hard things and you had to do that yourself. You had support there, but the work was you. And you did it even though it felt scary. You didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And you're still here. And it is hard when you see other people, especially with social media. I have a love-hate relationship with it because I think it's really good. But majority of the time, people like to maybe embellish things, or they use it as a highlight reel. So you don't know what's going on behind the scenes because you're only seeing a snippet of their day or what they actually want you to see. So it's controlled. And if you look at other mums and go, okay, how do they do it all? Or I want to be where they are. You don't know where their starting point was as well. They may have spent 5 or 6 years building their business up. And now that they're a mum, they can be full-time in that because they've pre-planned it and they had that idea beforehand. And it's just starting where you're at with the idea and going, okay, what's feasible for me right now in terms of our situation, my stress levels. And if you can go all in a new business and that's sustainable for you, amazing. But for some of us, that's not. And it's just meeting yourself where you're at and going, okay, I may not have the time that I want to spend on it yet, but I do have some time and let's start there and see how it goes. And that's what I'm doing with my business. I am working 5 days a week and I could go, oh, I've got a full-time job. I don't have time for it. But I have chosen to make time for it because it's what lights me up. And it's just knowing what you're comfortable with. Maybe it's something that you have an idea with and you go, okay, I don't have time to fit it into my schedule just yet. I'll look at it in a few months' time and reevaluate. And that's totally fine too. It's just knowing where you're at and knowing whatever decision that you make is right for you.
I think it's probably something a lot of mums need to hear because there is such a culture and like narrative going on that, you see other mums that are full-time in their business and they look like they've got everything, all their ducks in a row, and you think my ducks aren't even in the same room at the moment, let alone the same state. And you just wonder how on earth they have managed to get their shit together. So I think that's a really important thing that mums need to hear, that if that's what is working for you and that's what you want to do, then put the time and energy in where you want to be, and plan for forward plan. If you want to end up doing it full time, we'll start putting these in place to make that happen. But if your here and now is work and a business, then that's justified as well. Like, that is absolutely the perfect thing for you in this very moment. I would love to hear a bit more about your work with eldest daughter energy, because I am an eldest daughter and I am an eldest granddaughter, and I know there is a lot of talk going on in the online space about how we do things. And I've had a few comments made to me at family gatherings about being the eldest daughter, and I would love to know about your work in this space because I do see myself in a lot of what I've seen you talk about. So what do you do with eldest daughter energy and how does that show up in what you do?
Yeah. I am the eldest granddaughter as well, so I completely resonate with you. I realized that I needed to niche down with my business because if you try and speak to everyone, then no one hears you. And as much as I love being a mum, I've had 32 years experience being an eldest daughter, and a lot of my existing friends and followers aren't necessarily mums, and I didn't want to pick that as my niche because it just didn't sit right with me. And I thought, okay, I want to help eldest daughters because a lot of the time, whether we're mums or not, we are the unpaid helper, we're the harmonizers, we carry everyone else's emotional baggage and we try and make sure that everyone else is okay, regardless of how much extra pressure that puts on us. And then we are the strong ones. And even when you need help, people assume that you're okay. So then they don't offer it. And then it's that vicious cycle where you go, I wish people would ask me for help, but it's fine. I'll just do it myself. And they go, oh, but you're capable. So we don't need to ask you. And that's something that I really learnt with human design. And since becoming a mum as well, it definitely highlighted some areas in my life where I went, I need to create stronger boundaries around that for my own sanity and asking for help, even though when I first started asking, it felt horrible. I will be completely honest. It did not feel comfortable to me at all. And I was just getting very angry because I thought, why can't people just ask me for help? And on a slightly off topic, was I had postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression. And it meant that I needed to ask others for help. And the learned behaviors that I had being an eldest daughter of trying to keep it all together and keep up a facade of, it's fine, I'm doing great, wasn't cutting it. And that's when I realized that the behaviors needed to shift, and using human design as a framework and personal development tools, the tools in my toolkit that I've accumulated across the years, I've realized this really helped me navigate that period of my life. And this will be beneficial for other eldest daughters. And it's not, even if you don't necessarily have to be navigating mental health issues. It's just life. When life is lifing and you're tired of getting frustrated at everyone else for not seeing you or for having to carry everything or just be expected to do things and feel obligated. And that's where you're spending most of your time is doing things for other people. And then you get frustrated because you don't have any time left for you.
In your experience, now that you've niched down into this like very hot topic, what does this conditioning do, and how does it actually affect how women are showing up in business and motherhood? Because it's generational conditioning that we're picking up as eldest daughters. So how is that showing up?
I think it shows up in multiple ways and it will depend person to person. But what I've noticed with, say, mums in business is it's not necessarily wanting to do what's right for them, or if they're on the cusp of something new and it feels really uncomfortable because they're so concerned about how others will perceive the change, whether it's a reduction in hours because they want more time to spend with their kids, or they're just feeling like they don't have as much to give to their clients at the moment, or it's wanting to be more vulnerable or honest or take a different direction in their business, and they're worried about how existing clients, friends and families will perceive them. Or it could even be that they've got an idea for the business and they're afraid to put it out there and start it because of what they think others will say. And I wrote about this in my second book, and I had the realization that people don't care as much as you think that they do. And it's not to say that they don't care about what you do at all, but we place, especially as eldest daughters and mums, we place such a strong emphasis on how our actions are going to be perceived. And then we start thinking of, how can we explain this to people? It's the same when we make decisions. We go, if we make the logical decision, even if it goes against every grain in our body, at least it's justifiable. If someone asks us, why did you make that decision? You can go, here's my working out for it. Whereas if we make a decision because it felt right to us, whatever our intuition is, then it's harder to justify to others. And sometimes as well, it feels like doing the thing out of obligation is easier because saying no to someone and then having to explain ourselves is just more tiring. And if you're already feeling exhausted, it just feels easier to be agreeable. And So those are kind of the things that I've noticed. And taking it back to human design, it shows you, okay, this is who you are before you learned all of these behaviors to be the one that's thinking of everyone else and sets aside her thoughts on everything and suppresses it constantly. And it puts you back in the driver's seat of your life to go, okay, what do I want to do? And I will be okay if people have reactions to things. And it is very uncomfortable at first. And most of the time, in my experience, the perceived responses that I'm expecting from other people and I brace myself for never come to fruition. It's just a figment of imagination in your head. And even when they do, I remind myself, especially if it's with setting a boundary, that the only reason that they are annoyed about it is because they benefit from you not having it in the first place. So if you can remember that when you're doing the uncomfortable thing that is 1,000% right for you, then hopefully that will ease the stress in your body and you can start doing that and rebuild that self-trust.
Mm. I'm curious then about what does self-trust unlock that no business strategy ever could? Like, what is it that is actually going to come through when we start to trust our true selves, our real selves, our pre-coded selves, if we go back to the human design analogy?
Self-trust just gives you that permission to pivot when you need to. You don't have to rely on other people to go, hey, what do you think about this? You can go, okay, I know this is the next best step, even if it defies logic. And then you take that action straight away. Because sometimes we'll sit on ideas and we don't implement it in time or we miss an opportunity because we're not sure if it's the right decision for us or we're worried about what other people will think. And once that opportunity is gone, even if it was meant for us, it's gone for good. And sometimes living with that is difficult. And I don't want to say regrets because there will be other opportunities and the invisible string theory and everything like that. Things will work out. But it's just about knowing that you have everything within you to make those decisions. And especially when it comes to, say, setting boundaries within your business, if you're someone that's maybe more chill and you say to your clients, oh, you can contact me whenever. And then you realize that, okay, you may have one or two clients that in your mind take advantage of that. And you go, okay, I actually need to set some boundaries around this and go, okay, you can message me whenever you want, but I will respond to you once a day at these designated times, or I won't respond to you on weekends, whatever the boundary is. And when you do that, it's going to feel uncomfortable and they may get upset about it, but you have to do what's right for you. So I think it's just knowing that it's okay to put yourself first. And if you feel like something needs to change, then it's okay to do that.
On that thread, if a mum is listening in that is feeling lost, overwhelmed, or disconnected from herself and who she is meant to be or who she was before becoming a mother, what would you really want her to know?
That you are a whole person and it's a huge change in your life becoming a mum. And it's a role you can't necessarily prepare for. I mean, you could read a lot of books, but until you're in it, you don't know. And I think it's a time where you're able to really trust your instincts and your intuition because you do know best. That is a saying for a reason. Mums know best. And it's just about honoring that and giving yourself space to reconnect with yourself and pay attention to how you're feeling and what you're thinking. And if you are feeling lost, you're not alone. And if you can acknowledge that without going, oh, I should know who I am and what I'm doing, then that gives you a starting point. And when you're ready, you can try and find some solutions, whether it's speaking to a professional, speaking to a friend, family member, asking for help, having a human design reading, whatever the case may be. Like it feels like a lot when you're in it, but there is light at the end of the tunnel.
That's so true and such a beautiful thought to think about, especially because it is a journey from pre-mum to post-baby. And I like to go with the analogy that that person is still there. She's just evolved slightly. She's got other priorities for now, but everything is a season as well. Like it's a season you're in right now. So she's not gone completely. She's just evolved a little bit and, she's got that space to come back as well. So I really love that.
And I think as well, motherhood highlights a lot of shadows, and it highlights very strongly areas in your life where change is needed, whether it's stronger boundaries, paying attention to yourself, taking care of yourself is a huge one as well. And just knowing it's okay to ask for help. And it's a reminder as well, like you were so adaptable and able to learn things, because I think back to the day that my son was born and I had no idea how to fit a nappy or change it. I didn't even know about the yellow lines on the Huggies nappies changing blue. So, and now I can change a nappy with my eyes closed. I probably wouldn't, but there are things that felt so hard and you weren't sure of, and now you can do it with such ease. And it's just a reminder that yes, you have changed, but you've grown so much as a person. You literally grew life to begin with and you birthed it, which is wild. And yes, you are a different person, and it's totally okay to grieve the version of you that existed before. But it's just like shedding a skin, and we've done it before. You evolve, and it's just the growth and evolution that comes from becoming a mum. It's so quick and unexpected, and you're in the newborn trenches that you don't necessarily get that chance to grieve. And once you go through those stages, then you can see how incredible you are on the other side of it as well. And it's just figuring out who you are again and kind of reintroducing yourself to who you are and going, cool, what do I want to do now? Like, who am I? And it can feel like a scary question, but I think it's also really exciting to meet yourself again and be like, I am amazing. I like, I'm a life creator. It's, yeah, really amazing.
It definitely is. I would love to finish up our chat today with this one question. And I'm very curious about your answer because I believe you've got such a unique view on the whole parenthood business journey. But what is the one piece of advice you would give a mum who's got this pull to start her own business, to do her own thing? What's the one piece of advice you would give her?
Do it. And know that you have everything that you need within you to figure it out. You don't need to know the whole journey. Just take the first step. And there are so many resources out there, like Facebook groups, podcasts, books, you name it, it's out there, I'm sure. And if not, create it to help you on that journey too. And you deserve to honor yourself. And if you have people in your circle that say that you are selfish or not putting your family first, then I'd encourage you to put them on mute and maybe give yourself some space between them, because becoming a mum is incredible. But for some of us, it's not all fulfilling. And that is totally okay to accept that. And there's nothing wrong with you. And you're allowed to have another baby, and maybe that's your business. And I think it's a really good way to show your kid or kids that you can still be a whole person, that your life still exists. And I think they will admire that. And you're still giving them skills to show them like anything's possible if you put your mind to it. You're literally leading by example in that regard. Honestly, just if you can, start it. And if you need to put yourself into new rooms, then please do, because you deserve to be supported and you deserve to do what's right for you. And if I, just taking it back to myself for a moment, I could have gone, okay, I've got the time to become a certified human design reader. And I had 5,000 different reasons why I couldn't do it then and there. And I just went, you know what? I'm going to do this for me. That's going to be my thing while I'm on maternity leave. And now I'm focused on building the business around it. And it has been so rewarding to see my clients' transformations. And I just thought, if I'd never taken that first step, I wouldn't have that sense of fulfillment that I do right now and be creating that positive ripple effect in the world. And people need to see your gifts. And I hope that you'll stop hiding away from the world, especially if you know that you've got something to offer, because you deserve to be seen, heard, and understood.
That is such a gem of advice. And I love the muting people. I might have some people I need to put on mute myself. I love that terminology. Thank you so much for having this chat with me today, Tash. If any of the listeners do want to reach out to you, they want to connect with you, they're interested in your books or a human design reading, how can they get in contact with you?
So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm at Tash_Leam, or you can head to my website, which is tashleam.com. But if you're up for a conversation, just send me a message. I'd love to chat.
Perfect. I will pop all those links into the show notes for everyone. Thank you so much again for your chat today. I've loved hearing your perspective on, eldest daughter syndrome and human design and how we can actually utilize it, especially within our own businesses without it becoming overwhelming and something that we need to dictate our life by. So it's been such a great chat. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for joining me on Coffee, Clients and Nap Time. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another mum who's ready to build their dream life. You can also join our Facebook page or Instagram to stay connected every day of the week. The link is in the show notes. Just remember, you've got this, and I'm here to help every step of the way.